welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom, and I'm going to show you my collection of faux VHS Blu-rays. Now these are Blu-ray releases that have been released quite recently within the last few years that are made to look like VHS tapes or VHS rental tapes and things like that. Obviously that we used to get some years ago. Now the two VHS that you see in front of you are actually legitimate VHS, just so I can give you a scale. I know in the US they use kind of paper sleeves, but in the UK we use these. So this was what we used to refer to as a big box, which is basically a rental one. And then we had the retail size, which is this one, the slightly smaller one. So I've just put them there as a kind of a scale comparison, so you can kind of see what we're looking at in regards to these Blu-ray boxes. Now these are both original VHS. The next ones are going to be actually Blu-rays made to look like a VHS cassette. Now I've put them in countries that I've got them. So the first one is the Frighters, obviously a Peter Jackson movie, and this was a range put out by HMV. I think it's just called the VHS range. And I did a whole bunch of classic movies in that kind of style. I picked up a few of them. I think these are quite a fun little thing to collect. This one is obviously just still sealed. In that same range, I picked up American Werewolf in London. And this basically copies the original VHS cover that we used to have here in the UK. And they've actually stopped doing this range now, so you can get one or two still in HMV stores, but the majority of these have been gone. And then they got this one. This was the Mandy. So this one was a little different. It's actually in the same range, but this is the only contemporary film that was kind of put out in this range. Now Mandy obviously is set in the 80s, and this is kind of why it was put out there. And this one sold out pretty fast. It's slightly different because it doesn't have that kind of that stripy background, but it is part of that HMV range. And yeah, obviously you got this. This is a fairly infamous Nicolas Cage, somewhat kind of arty movie, and pretty fun if you haven't seen it, although a little weird. Then we're going to move over to Germany. Now Germany have put out kind of a few versions of different films. Now you'll notice the kind of the scuff marks here. That's actually by design. It's not really scuffed, it just is meant to look like that to represent the aged format of VHS. Obviously this is Alien, sequel to Alien. And I don't know how well this will show up, but this one's actually numbered 871 out of 1,111, just on there. That is Aliens, and they do a lot in the German market. You can get a lot of the kind of classic big movies, things like Predator, Terminator, stuff like that. I might pick a few of them up. I'm not going to go too crazy with it with this kind of format, but I don't want to have to keep double dipping. But what I thought I would get are maybe films that are contemporary films but set in the 80s. I thought that'd be quite a fun thing to collect. There's not going to be too many of them. This one, of course, Summer of '84. This is by the makers of Turbo Kid, and it's essentially like a kind of rear window Fright Night style kind of movie where a bunch of kids see something out their window. And as you can see here, we've got the tape looking there. And this one's again numbered. Mine's 1,522. I don't know how much they actually numbered up this one. I think it's 2,000, but I don't want to, not 100% sure about that. I don't actually love this movie as much as some people. I don't think the characterization is particularly strong, but there you go. It's not a bad film. This is probably my favourite out of what we would call, I suppose, the retro films that are made now but kind of are meant to be in the style of the 80s. Turbo Kid, which was of course a movie based on the kind of the post-apocalyptic films a la Mad Max. Really fun, super violent, but very kind of cartoony. And they had two versions of this. As you can see, mine is numbered. I'm not quite sure, again, it's actually limited to 500, so it's a fairly kind of like low distribution on this one. And there was another cover as well which had the kind of the regular artwork, but I like this one because it was different artwork, and I quite like the character there called Skeletron. Oh, we've got another UK one here. This is slightly out of order. This is the Fright Night, and so this is a UK one. And this one was put out by Zavvi, and they put out a couple of these kind of faux VHS ones. I think this one's still available, to be honest, and you can get this in silent running, I think. Fright Night's my all-time favourite film, and this is essentially the Eureka release that you may have got on the Steelbook, you know, and it's got the kind of the You're So Cool Charlie Brewster documentary on there. Great edition. Then we're going to move over to Italy. So I've only got one Italian one. This is the Ready Player One. Not set in the 80s, but has a lot of 80s references. I think this is why they decided to do this. And this is my latest one that I've got. I know Paul from Buckaroobanzai, this is like one of his favourite ever films. He gave it a 10 out of 10. I didn't like it quite as much as him, but it's still a fun film. And then we move to the land down under, and we have a Marvel film in the form of Captain Marvel, set in the 90s, this one. Now, this one is different from the others because it has a clamshell release, which is essentially the same size as this. You know, as you can see here. So it really is the kind of the proper clamshell, like big box rental that you would have got. The only thing I would say with this one, it has no other features in there. A lot of these other things comes with posters and stuff like that. This one, despite being, you know, quite a big case, it's just a disc, you know, in there with nothing else. So it feels like it's just knocking around a little bit in there. But obviously, this is a recent modern blockbuster in the Marvel range. The only one that they've done, as far as I know, in this kind of sort of style. And then we have Stand By Me, once again an Australian one, and this was, I think, a exclusive to JB Hi-Fi. As you can see from the cover there, it's limited to 1,000 units, and again it's in the kind of the hard clamshell sort of ex-rental style box. And my one, as you can probably tell, is knocking around loose in there. And then finally we come over to the States, and first one I'm going to show you here is the Stranger Things, and this was a exclusive to Target. I think there's another version of this as well. I really only like the first series of Stranger Things, so I've only got obviously the first series, not the second. And yeah, but it's an added, you know, this hasn't even been released on Blu-ray, to be honest, in the UK, let alone any sort of special edition. But yeah, a fitting addition to the kind of the VHS range. And the final one for this is another American one, and this is actually the biggest out of the bunch, and this is the Puppet Master. I'm going to move this back slightly just so you can see. And this actually comes with a figure of the character Blade, and that's why it's slightly bigger, because it's obviously got to fit the kind of the card from the figure in there. And this is Full Moon put out a couple of these. They put Laser Blast out, and obviously this one. I haven't seen Laser Blast, but Puppet Master is one of the kind of obviously has spawned a long-running series, so I wanted to kind of get that one. And that is it. That's my collection of faux kind of VHS. There is a few more that you can get. I'm not going to go crazy on these because, like VHS, they actually take up a little bit of space, to be quite honest. And I don't want to go too much, but films that are set in the 80s but made now, I'll probably try and get. That's going to be my little rebit. Maybe the odd kind of retro film as well. Anyway, that's the collection. What did you think? What's your favourite edition that I've got? And have you got any editions that I haven't shown? Please like the video, leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for now.